Good evening, people. Good evening. Good evening. It is 10:54. It's not even evening yet here in Washington with this bipolar weather. It turns, it goes, it flips, but you know what? It is beautiful here. It's beautiful here. You look outside, you see the greenery, you see. Ooh, let's just get into this. Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Moon, and I am the owner of Life Destiny, which is a coaching, transformation coaching, and it is also a life coaching. I am a speaker, and I do hypnotherapy. That is within my life coaching. How do I life coach? I life coach by an NLP process, a neuro linguistic process. It's a process that a lot of you need to look up and you need to really think about if you're really thinking about changing your lives, making positive change in your lives. Now, I don't know how positive you want your life to be, but I'm telling you, I want my life to be very positive. And so, well, those of you who don't want your life to be positive, woo, stay away, stay away, stay away. What I'm going to talk about today is that, there's a lot of things that are going on, and it is absolutely crazy. But I'm going to tell you, people, there are ways to get around a lot of things, or you don't really want to get around it. Actually, you want to solve these problems. So, I am going to kind of go through a flow today, and hopefully you kind of catch on to the flow and you can understand why I'm doing it, and hopefully open somebody's eyes to something better in life, something that is more tangible for their heart, something is more tangible for life itself, more sustaining. So let's get right into it. First, I'm going to give you something that's called proposition. Every we're guys, I need you to understand we're one decision away from a solution to humanity's biggest problem. I really believe we are. This is the decision that is going to be so powerful in its impact that will solve not only our species' biggest collective problem, but the largest problem faced by every freaking individual reading this right now, or even listening to it, because this is a pod. But be warned, I am not for everybody. Faint of heart, I don't hold punches. I'll tell you like I think it is. And if you don't agree with me, hey, everyone is entitled to their own opinion. We are. But I'm not going to be disrespectful because that is not the way we get out of life, and that is not the way we put into life. That's not what we need to do. So I'm just gonna say, but be warned. Um, this decision may not be what it seems, and it definitely won't fall in line with what most widely expected or most generally accepted. I promise you. There's a very few selected people, and it's not really selected. There's a very few people that have chosen to think a specific way, and that way has changed their life profoundly. And the more I get into this, you guys are gonna start wondering, wait a minute, why didn't we think about or even do that before? But we're human, we're fallible. Things happen, you know. But if you adhere to what's going on or what you hear, it makes a daring decision. Yes, it does. And perhaps it's the most significant decision of your life. And you probably won't even think or know when you started reading here. Well, actually, when you first picked up this book, you picked it up for a reason. Or when you first hit this pod, you hit it for a reason. Maybe something piqued your interest, uh, consciously or subconsciously. I don't know. But I think you kind of knew what you were doing and why. Well, nobody has to tell us that life on our planet is not what we had hoped it would be. I promise you. I mean, we have hoped things would be so well and so great, peachy keen or whatever. All we have to do is just take a look at what's happening every day around us in the world. I'm telling you. And in some cases, in our own lives, there's a lot of things going on around us. And most people are closing their eyes and they're putting blinders on and they're putting mask over their face. Ooh, no pun intended. No pun intended. But it is. Okay. There are very few amongst us who have not found ourselves shaking our heads in some kind of discouraged dismay, but I promise you, at the latest tweet, online news, newspaper headlines, and sometimes, too many times, perhaps that the challenge is confronted in our own homes. Sometimes we got shit going on in our own homes, and we look like we got things going so well about our lives when they're really not. They're really not. We just put on a facade and we kind of live with the Joneses, thinking, if they don't know I'm going through a hard time, then I don't have to go through what they're going to probably endure me. But we all need help sometimes. I promise you. Like that. Okay, let's keep going. And I promise you, this will lead to some compelling questions. If you really open your mind and listen to what I'm saying, it'll lead to some compelling questions. And is it possible? Just possible. And if there's something we don't fully understand about ourselves, about life, and above all, about God, and the understanding of which would change everything. If you can just pick up what I'm saying and maybe change your paradigm a little bit, it'll change drastically what you're going through. Because two people can go through the same things at the same time, but I promise you, those two people are not seeing the same thing exactly. They're not. And if they tell you they are, they're lying. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. To me, the answer, but for me, the answer is obvious. Is it to you? Inquiring minds want to know. Is the answer obvious to you? If you answer yes, you're invited to now undertake a very quick, deeply revealing explanation. I am going to try to explain things in a way that you never heard. And if you have heard it that way, then I wholly urge you to keep going. Try to look at it more deeply, more profoundly. Change your life to some things that are different. Most times we have literally stifled our own lives. We have done numerous things that we thought was right, but our values were tainted. We have said numerous things that we thought were just, but our beliefs were smashed. We've done things that we thought was so pure at heart, but in reality, they were selfish with our own dismay of what we can gain from it. Notoriety, something. We are all guilty of something that has stifled us from growing in life. And if you say you haven't, I'm sorry. You're just not understanding or realizing or even paying attention to your life. Because the moment you start being true to yourself about what life really is, or true to yourself about inside why you feel a certain way about something, or why you do the things that you do, or why you say the things that you do, why you have such bad behaviors at times, why you have such astounding behavior at some times. Sometimes we are the best of the best and the worst of the worst. We are. We think we are God, but we're not. Sometimes people can go and they worship and they worship and they worship only to have the next week followed by fun, feel, as they would call sin. we do things that are unbecoming of us, but we say, I'm trying to live a better life. Are you truly trying to live a better life? Truly. Because if you were truly trying to live a better life, you would have loved yourself with your choices. You would have loved yourself. You would have changed your paradigm about the things that you see. I have a word or a phrase I say, and most people don't understand that phrase. But I say that phrase with conviction because when things are happening around me, it's a reflection of what I'm feeling in my heart or what I'm going through or my life. It's not a reflection of what's truly out there. It really isn't. Because we can constantly and daily say to ourselves, I'm living so righteous. But we wake up with malice in our heart. We can't even live by basic universal laws with the way life is. But we want to live by a book that many of you know by different names. Torah, Bible, a lot of different names that it has given us. We have collected from different cultures and backgrounds and beliefs. But who's to say that any of those beliefs are different than ours? Who's to say what's right and what's wrong? Who's to say what's good and what's bad? You know, a lot of people say, well, there's evil and then there's good. But there's always a lot of good in bad. And there can be a lot of bad in good. So when you try to justify a lot of things and you want to play semantics with words, don't do it. Because it's not going to change your life. Most of us was raised a certain way, and that's what we know. That's what we know. Maybe you were raised to be a bigot. Maybe you were raised to be a racist. Maybe you were raised to be an uncaring individual. You know, a lot of people will tell you, I am a product of my environment. But the question begs is, do you have to be a product of your environment? In a matter of speaking, you do. In a matter of speaking, you do have to be a product of your environment. Because your environment have taught you experiences. And the experiences have given you a lot of insight of the world. And that insight may have been good and it may have been bad. But nonetheless, it was what you learned. And that's the way we go through life. Everything is learned. People say, well, I didn't teach my child to be a bad person. Well, what did your child see? I'm sorry. Was it something that they encountered? Now, I say to you, individuals out there, is it really worth losing life when you're not willing to experience it, know it, be it? My question to you